to find subs. And a Sacramento neighborhood digs out from a muddy mess after a levee cracked. News 10 at 11 starts now.
And now, this is News 10 at 11.
I'm the first to graduate.
A new college graduate celebrates her success and prepares to share that joy with family and friends. Tonight, a special graduation ceremony is looking for community support. I'm Sharon. That story tops News 10 at 11. Many Hispanic graduates are often the first in their families to receive a college diploma, and that's extra reason to celebrate. But one commencement event for Hispanic graduates at Sacramento State University still has an obstacle to overcome. News 10's Jane McCarthy is in the newsroom with more. Jane?
Sharon, the Chicano Latino graduation ceremony has become a tradition at Sac State. This year, the students have done everything from selling tamales to holding dances to raise money for the event, but they're still several $1,000s short for a day that holds a lot of meaning for these students and their families. It's the perfect day for a graduation celebration. For CSUS grad Jose Maher, it's been a long road.
It's taken me 10 years. I graduated high school when I was 17. I'm 27 now.
Jose already went through his graduation ceremony at Arco Arena, but it won't be complete until he walks next Sunday with his Chicano Latino graduation group.
Part of the celebration is in Spanish, so we do, that makes it more personal for our families.
Born into a family of farm workers, Jose decided at a young age school wasn't for him. That's when his parents took him to work in the fields.
I just remember, those 10-hour days, getting there when the sun comes up and leaving when the sun sets. And so that was my motivation, basically, to get back into college, to finish high school and continue on.
I walk into the classrooms and, there's only like maybe one other Hispanic person in there. So.
Consuelo Mejia knows what it's like to break barriers. Her new diploma is a family first.
Being the first one to graduate, you're doing like the trial and error. You're kind of going out there and, taking a step in this direction, and if it doesn't work out, you have to, pull back and take another step in a different direction.
Although those steps have sometimes been slow and difficult, both Consuelo and Jose say they wouldn't change their paths. Now they just can't wait to see their proud parents on their special graduation night.
Oh yes, they'll be there.
They're just happy they're, on cloud 9 right now.
This special Chicano Latino graduation is scheduled for next Sunday at the Radisson Hotel. The students still need about $4,000 to fill the gap. That money is not only used for the graduation celebration, but Sharon, it also goes to pay for student scholarships. That's why it's really, really important.
And those students have a lot to be proud of.
They do.
Thank you, Jane. If you would like to make a donation, you can call the Chicano Latino Graduation Fund hotline, and that number is 916-451-7632. 1,200 teachers in Fairfield manned the picket lines today to drum up community support. It's the second day of a teacher strike. Now, talks are ongoing, but both sides are also preparing for what's ahead when school starts up on Monday. News 10's Deborah Pacina has the story.
When both of your parents are striking teachers, it's not exactly a normal Saturday.
I just know that the teachers are going through a lot of stress. They have the money, but they just don't want to give it to us.
Striking teachers say the district has a $14 million surplus. After little or no raises over the past 6 years, teachers want an 11.7% pay hike.
It's got to end now, and we're just fed up. This is my 6th year in this district. 5 years we've had to fight.
Inside, the district is processing hundreds of applications from substitute teachers in an effort to keep the classrooms open on Monday. So far, 600 substitutes have showed up and filled out applications.
Isn't that pretty?
Fingerprints are transmitted directly to the Department of Justice, and applicants are cleared within 12 minutes. Negotiations not going nearly as fast.
The offers a 10% raise, and the union wants 11.7%. which means another $1.7 million to us, which means program cuts.
But the district is offering to pay $250 a day to subs. That's 2.5 times the going rate.
For the most part, I support unions, but it's a tough situation when you have the threat of the children's education being disrupted.
In this letter, the district threatens to fire those who are illegally on strike. The result is a greater determination by teachers to stay on course. In Fairfield, I'm Deborah Pacina, News 10.
The Fairfield Sassoon School District plans to hold classes on Monday with the help of 900 subs. The last day of school is June 15th. A standoff between 5 children and police in rural Idaho is finally over. The children gave up this evening and left their home. They spent the day talking with negotiators. A 15-year-old brother surrendered on Thursday. The children barricaded themselves Tuesday, armed with guns and 24 dogs, after their mother was arrested for child neglect. Their father died 3 weeks ago. The kids are in good condition. They'll now be placed in state custody. A woman who was found unconscious after riding on a roller coaster at Magic Mountain in Southern California has died. Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies say the 28-year-old woman was found slumped over in her seat when the Goliath roller coaster came to an end. Park officials say her death was not related to the ride.
Roller coasters enjoy a tremendous safety record and a very prominent safety record. And again, there isn't anything to indicate that this appears to be related to the ride.
Park officials say the woman was treated for what appeared to be a heart attack. The roller coaster ride lasts 3 minutes and travels at speeds of up to 85 miles an hour. A drive-by shooting ended in a fiery crash that killed 1 man. It happened after 1 this morning on northbound Highway 99 near the 12th Avenue exit in Sacramento. A man called 911 to say he and his passenger had just been shot. The injured driver stopped in the middle of the freeway, triggering a crash and fire. Police have little else to go on.
I believe strongly that there are people out there that witnessed something, may not even realize what they saw at the time resulted in this tragic event.
The injured driver, 21-year-old Lok Yoon, was shot several times. He's in critical condition and unable to tell police the name of his passenger. That victim, who was shot twice, wasn't able to escape the fire and died. Police are still working on a motive. A cleanup effort is underway in one Sacramento neighborhood this weekend after a levee repair turned muddy. A crack was found in a section of the levee along the American River behind homes on Madison Avenue yesterday. Crews were pouring slurry, a clay mixture, to strengthen the levee when the crack became apparent. About 100,000 gallons of slurry gushed from the levee and flooded the street and several yards. Workers have been washing away the sludge 2 feet high in some places and preparing the damaged yards for new landscaping.
I hope I never see anything like this again. When that crack let loose up there, the mud just come pouring in. It's like they've been saying, though, fortunately, this is the time to have it. If it's going to happen instead in the middle of winter, then we'd have probably all been underneath the water.
The Army Corps of Engineers has been strengthening the American River levees as part of a flood control project. The reinforced levees should be finished in time for the winter rains. Volunteers are racing the clock to finish rebuilding a new playground. They expect to complete the playground at Elk Grove's Miwok Park in time for a 6 p.m. opening ceremony tomorrow. A fire destroyed the playground last summer. Volunteers built the original park, and now more than 1,000 volunteers are working 4-hour shifts rebuilding.
This community is very supportive, as you can tell, from the sounds of the hammers and the saws and the sanders.
The volunteers have been at it for several days straight. If you'd like to help, head out to Elk Grove's Miwok Park on Village Tree Drive tomorrow morning. Another Valley community has its own park improvement to be proud of. Carmichael Park dedicated its new pavilion today. The park has been the site of an annual music festival, but the old stage was getting too small for the growing number of bands. So volunteers began a grassroots effort to build a new pavilion.
It's taken 4 years for us to raise the money and do the construction, and so this is a great moment for many people within this community.
News 10's Christina Mendonza emceed today's dedication. They're officially calling it the Danny Bishop Memorial Band Shell. Starting tomorrow, visitors to Carmichael Park will be treated to a series of Sunday concerts. Next on News 10 at 11, members of a royal family are victims of a mass murder, and the alleged gunman, the Crown Prince, is named the next king. And China may soon return a spy plane to the U.S., but it probably won't be flying home.
The bus started to slide, and then it came into the ditch, and then everyone went forward.
Identity thieves who at best can ruin your credit and at worst work you up a nice little rap sheet.
Our top story at 6. Thanks for joining us.
The judge rules.
Domestic violence escalated into gunfire that claimed one life. Sacramento police say 31-year-old Monterio Pinckney had a history of domestic violence. He allegedly tracked down his wife at a house in the Oak Park neighborhood early this morning. Witnesses say Pinckney began breaking windows and shooting into the house with his wife, mother-in-law, another adult, and 5 children inside.
He is armed and dangerous. He left the area with a weapon, and he used it. He did not care the fact there were children in the house or other adults. He was there to look for his wife and kill her.
Police say Pinckney shot and killed his mother-in-law, Monica Henderson. Pinckney was already on probation for spousal abuse. A royal tragedy continues to unfold in Nepal. The Crown Prince is in critical condition after apparently opening fire in the palace and killing 8 family members, including his mother and father. The country of Nepal is located in South Asia between India and China. Jill McGivering has the latest.
It's been a day of sorrowful tributes. Almost an entire royal family laid out in state side by side. Nepal is still in shock. Overnight, it's lost all the central figures of a monarchy which was revered and deeply loved. The story of their deaths behind these palace walls is still mysterious. Most reports say a bitter row broke out late on Friday between the Crown Prince and his parents. The King and Queen are said to have objected to the Prince's choice of a bride. The Prince apparently opened fire on his family, then turned the gun on himself. He's now been named by officials here as the next king, despite the fact he's critically ill in hospital. For the time being, at least, his uncle will assume control. But for most ordinary Nepalis, the focus today was on the grim task of saying goodbye to their king and queen.
It's the custom here to do the funeral rites almost straight away, and many of the people gathered here this evening seem dazed. This funeral procession is just the start of the ceremonies, and also the start of this difficult period of public mourning.
This golden casket carried the late king. He was a hugely popular figure. His people's grief is still raw. He took the monarchy through major political changes, from being an absolute king to a constitutional monarch with far less power, in a system similar to Britain's. It's something his people have never forgotten. Many broke down at the sight of the dead, barely visible under a covering of flowers. As the emotion became overwhelming, police had to struggle to hold back the crowd. For many, anger was the only way of responding to a tragedy they can still barely believe. Jill McGivering, BBC News, Kathmandu.
The Crown Prince is reportedly clinically dead, but being kept alive on a respirator. China may be a step closer to returning an American spy plane that collided with the Chinese fighter jet 2 months ago. U.S. officials met with the Chinese government today. The U.S. and China have agreed the damaged plane will be partly disassembled and sent home aboard a cargo plane. China has refused to let the U.S. repair the plane and fly it out, fearing it would cause national humiliation. China held the plane's crew for 11 days. And an attempt to set a new speed record for an aircraft will have to wait. A rocket carrying the unmanned plane into position was intentionally blown up by NASA when it went out of control. The new jet engine is expected to reach airspeeds 7 times faster than the speed of sound. The current airspeed record is 3 times the speed of sound. Well, record-setting temperatures in May have given way to a cool start to June. But how long will the 80s stick around? J.D. Maher will have the forecast. And if you can find a way to use 20% less power, you could save 20% on your bill.
Watching News 10 with Dale
Shornack has the day off. Other news now. Out-of-state power supplier Duke Energy has confirmed it sold electricity to California for as much as $3,880 per megawatt hour. That is 28 times higher than its stated average of $136. Duke charged its highest megawatt hour in January when California began suffering from rotating blackouts due to a shortage of electricity. Duke Energy supplies about 5% of California's electricity. The governor's 2020 conservation plan is now in effect. It gives ratepayers a break on their bills if they conserve. Now, residents who cut energy consumption by 20% over last summer will receive a 20% credit on their power bill. Customers have to cut 20% during the months of June, July, and August to qualify. Many people who've been conserving all along feel it's near impossible to conserve anymore, let alone cut their usage by 20%. And JD is in now, and at least we got some help today. A little breezy today.
We did. Winds are actually going to be on the shift to the north. And even over Monday and Tuesday, we're going to even see some more changes. Monday, Tuesday, things start to warm up. And then by Thursday or Friday, and even into next weekend again, as we already look ahead, things will even start to cool off. And it is a very nice night out tonight. South winds prevailing. Even Fairfield. I'm monitoring the Fairfield area, seeing a few clouds, and the winds there out of the southwest to about 15 miles per hour, so they're peaking right now. Overnight, though, they should diminish and even into the morning hours. Here's what goes into the history books. We get an 83, normal would be 85, and we don't see any 100-degree weather over the next 7 days. That's good news, too. 81 was a high in Stockton. And 83 in Modesto. Fairfield, you got to 79 today, and a beautiful day. Even up at Lake Tahoe, 64 degrees and a morning low of 49. So right now, we're in the mid-60s. It's a beautiful night up and down the Central Valley, even up around Blue Canyon, mild at 48 degrees. So let's tour around tonight. Shelby will start right here in Sacramento at 61 degrees. Humidity pretty nice to it, the 60% range. Roseville, you're at 62, and it's 58 in Stockton. How about Modesto? You're at 59, a very light, nice east wind. Southeast wind in Elk Grove, 59 degrees, 66% humidity, and 58% humidity there in Placerville, 56 degrees outside, a light northeast wind. And Auburn at E.V. Kane School, it's 60 degrees, northeast wind 2, and Lake Tahoe, pretty mild again at 47 degrees, west wind to 6 miles per hour. Now, the fog along the coast has been holding off a bit, and that's what we monitor to keep our weather cool. You can see right there along San Francisco, not too much. There is a slight weather system right along the coast of Northern California. It won't bring too many clouds into us because right over California, we continue to have an area of high pressure. That's what's making the weather pretty nice. Now, 2 areas of interest across the United States I've been tracking right through the central Appalachian Range, through Tennessee. We're seeing some showers, and even around Georgia. But the central part of the U.S. is mild and dry for the most part, and just a little bit of rough weather over Colorado right now. Here's the next system. It's right now building up over the Gulf of Alaska, so it's still off screen. But right here, we'll just see some few high clouds tomorrow, enough to usher in a little bit of a marine layer, just a bit. Now, how does this fare for all of our allergy sufferers, myself included? We have high areas, medium range, for cedar, juniper, sorrel, dock, and grass. So if that's one of your areas that your allergist has told you, be on precaution there. You'll need your medicine. It will increase by Tuesday, primarily because the warm weather will increase and some more north winds to stir things up. Here are the forgotten cities on other stations, but you're not forgotten here on News 10. The email forecast right there for you. Tomorrow, Walnut Grove gets to 84, Murphy's about 75. Fantastic all the way up from Valley Springs up to Pollock Pines. A little bit of fog in the morning, but I'm mainly going to preserve that for Monterey area. San Francisco looks great for your Sunday. Light sweater if you're going to be there in the evening. Fairfield gets into the mid to upper 70s and maybe a little bit of that low cloud and fog in the morning, but I do not think it will be there very long. Mid 80s, Citrus Heights gets to about 81, Roseville about 82. San Joaquin Valley, you'll have another day like today for your weekend. Enjoy it. A few high, thin, cirrus clouds perhaps. Manteca 85, the same for Tracy, and north wind to about 10 to 15 miles per hour. 79, that's fantastic in Jackson with a morning low of 56 degrees. Quincy, a little bit warmer today, a little bit nice too, 78 for your high. Nevada City gets 76. And if you are heading up to the mountains for your Sunday, you'll like it. Lake Tahoe between 67 and 70 degrees, and up around the Truckee Meadows about 81 at Reno. Truckee, nice too, in the upper 60s, and just a few clouds, but no threat of a thunderstorm up over the high country. So as I mentioned, we warm on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then again, we start another cooling trend that drops down from the Pacific Northwest. No major storms for us, although it's not out of the question for June. About 3 years ago, I coined the phrase Junuary. Think about it, January. Yeah, it's not out of the question, but right now, 7 days looks great.
Hopefully we won't see January, huh? All right, thanks, JD. Well, the season is over for the Sacramento Kings, but if you love basketball, there is still plenty of action at Arco Arena. Dana Jacobson has more on the Monarchs season opener next in sports.
That's what you like to see.
nice here and nice turnout for the Monarchs home opener.
Yeah, you know, we have a Channel 10 jersey and I forgot to bring it out. The Monarchs gave it to us. It's got the number 10 KXTV on the back. I should have worn it tonight.
I was going to say, are you the sixth player?
I'm like the sixth man with the fans, I guess. I don't know. Stu or I, one of us. All but one of the faces have changed, but the Sacramento Monarchs still remain. The team, like the league, celebrating its 5th anniversary this season. Kicking off what the Monarchs hope will finally be a banner year. Sacramento hosting Cleveland at Arco. Monarchs mixing some new and old. First, the new Edna Campbell in for Tisha Penichero. She'd lead the way for the team with 15 points in the ballgame. Right behind her, though, a little bit old, shall we say. Angela Smith, 14 points for her. And then we go back to the new Kara Walters. She's big, and she's even bigger with the block. 3 of them in the game. Speaking of threes, Ruthie Bolton-Hollyfield again representing the old. And then on the pass over to Yo. And one more old moment for you. Kedra Holland-Corn draining a couple threes to start the second half. Old and new works well. Monarchs hold off a late surge by the Rockers for a 70-65 season opening by the Bay, especially for Barry Zito. He gives up 5 runs in 2 innings, including this 2-run single to Brady Anderson. Orioles up 5-0 at the end of 2, and they shut the A's right out of it. Baltimore blanking Oakland 7-0. It's the Yankees over the Indians by 5. Red Sox double up on the Blue Jays. White Sox knock off the Tigers. Rangers outlast the Twins. Mariners just keep on winning, and the Angels beat the Royals 3-2. National League side, Giants at Coors Field, and they don't call it home run haven for nothing. Top of the 5th, Giants down 2. Russ Davis with a solo shot, and that's going to cut the lead down to 1. Top of the 9th, Giants now up 1. It's Armando Rios with some insurance, an RBI double, but it's not enough. They call it home field advantage for a reason. Bottom of the 9th, all tied up. Larry Walker is out of there with that one. The game-winning 2-run homer. Rockies rally to beat the Giants 7-5. Favorites, 13-year-old Morgan Pressel, who finished 14 over, and the 8-month pregnant Brenda Corey Keene, who finished 23 over, contractions and all. Round 3 off to a late start. Leader Kari Webb, one of the few who didn't have to play this morning, and it shows. Webb with one of the 2 rounds below par for a 6-under total and a 5-stroke lead over Sayri Pak. By the way, Granite Bay's Natalie Golbis is tied for 39th at 9 over. For the men, it's the PGA's Memorial. Rain means an incomplete 3rd round, but when the sky to show it off to you, it's the Monarchs jersey, the 10, and then of course on the back.
Look at that.
KXTV. So that's our own proud Monarchs jersey, I guess.
I think you would look better in it than Stewart.
Yeah, maybe. You know, he's got a nice little figure going.
Thanks, Dana. Yeah. Still to come on News 10 at 11, up and away. Thousands turn out to see military planes in action. The story just ahead.
In 1962,
As we've had this nice cool down. I've been out of the south,
I'll be right
southwest.
with you in a sec.
No problem. That great Delta breeze, and it has been well worth it. We've been really warm over the last week. But there's your extended forecast. They're going to slightly warm tomorrow due to the northwest wind. And then by Monday, Tuesday, another warming trend. But look, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we are back to where we are now. Normal's 85, so tomorrow's going to be fantastic.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Thanks, JD. Well, finally tonight, an impressive display of air power. The skies above Fallon Naval Air Station in Nevada were filled with old and new military, civilian, and vintage airplanes and helicopters. Fallon is about 60 miles east of Reno, and that show continues tomorrow. If you want to see military planes in action much closer to home, join News 10 for the Travis Air Expo. It's June 16th and 17th. Admission is free. You can log on to news10.net for more information, directions. Our helicopter, Air 10, and satellite truck, Big Red, will be there for you to see up close. Now, do you name your cars? I mean, we name our satellite truck Big Red.
I have not yet, no.
I'm going to think about it, though.
Okay. See you tomorrow.